Pregnant women or women who have been pregnant, what is the worst craziest advice someone has given you about your pregnancy? Oh, I was told that I need to shave down there or the baby will get carpet burn. Like, what? I feel like shaving down there would give the baby stubble burn. To not drink water because it causes nausea. To be fair, existing while pregnant gave me nausea. When I was pregnant past my due date, a co-worker advised me to drink cod liver oil mixed with vodka. Apparently this mixture would upset my digestive system, give me horrible diarrhea and thus trigger labor contractions. Because having a hangover and diarrhea is exactly what you need while you're in labor. That I should drink her crappy MLM aloe vera juice every day. It's not advisable for pregnant women. Too much aloe for anyone is dangerous, let alone sketchy MLM crap. My labor should be painless because Jesus died and erased the pain during childbirth penalty humans got from Eve. If I feel pain, it's because I don't believe in Jesus' redemptive powers. That's not how that works. That's not how any of that works. Not to drink hot tea because then I would boil my baby. Someone told my so not to bathe because the baby would drown. I had a co-worker tell me that eating peanut butter, I was eating an apple with peanut butter on my lunch break, would give my baby cancer. I already thought she was the world's greatest idiot, so that nugget of wisdom was just confirmation. Don't raise your arms above your head, it will tangle the baby's cord and the baby will die. Came here to say this. Even worse, kid was born with the cord around his neck and needed to be delivered by emergency cesarean for other reasons. I could tell she wanted to say I told you so. Not to sit on stairs because it will cause you to have a miscarriage. People are crazy. Not me but my sister. She had to have an emergency C-section when she had my niece. Her mother-in-law said she wouldn't be a real woman unless she had a natural birth. I was 18 when I had my son and was already terrified. Had to be induced and ended up having to have a C-section because labor just wasn't progressing and his heart rate kept dropping. For the first year and a half of my son's life, my mother told me I wasn't a real mom because I had to have a C-section. My mill said it's okay to drink mixed drinks. She went on to say that my husband was a margarita baby. I now call him that when he gets on my nerves. That is hilarious. Is it like, okay margarita baby, whatever you say. My mill, don't eat spicy foods or stand under the moon. Ugh. My very first OB visit, first baby, handed me a book about month-by-month pregnancy and said that if I had any questions to just refer to the book. Then I said, well, what if the baby? She cut me off right there and pointed to the book and said, it's in the book. I changed OBs. Don't worry about the swelling and high blood pressure. That's normal. My midwife days before being induced due to preeclampsia. Literally a life-threatening condition in some cases. A+ midwifery. The lady at the counter in the village bakery told me that I should smear my face with semen to counter pregnancy acne. It was the first time I'd ever met her. My entire family was super judgmental against breastfeeding for some reason. It was really strange. How long are you going to do that for? My grandmother made a comment about my weight gain with my first pregnancy around month 5. For reference, I started severely underweight at 87 pounds and was closely monitored by my doctor because of it. At this point, I was nearing 125. When I told her that the OB-GYN was happy with where I was, she told me of her own doctor's advice. In 1956, smoke a pack of cigarettes per day to keep your weight down. The baby can gain its own weight after birth. Thanks, but no thanks, Grandma. I was about 8 months pregnant. I said something at family dinner one Sunday about how I was scared of labor. My gram shouts out, you know you should smoke a blunt. Now my family's open about their pot use. Most of my family will smoke from time to time, but my grandmother has never smoked in her life, so I was a bit confused. I just looked at her and keeps going, if you smoke blunts while you're in labor it will keep you calm and help with the pain. I'll find you some herb, just smoke in the bathroom of the hospital. But wear socks, you have ugly feet and the doctor won't want to help you if he sees your cracked heels. My grandmother is something. There's a lot going on in this comment. Got severe itching all over the body during 7th Mo. Did the routine test for liver function, all normal. Colleague advises, Rub your husband's underwear which he has left for wash laundry all over her body as remedy for itching. No, I did not follow IT. One person told me I would never be able to fit a baby out of my body because I wasn't big enough down there and to just get a section. Not a doctor, a random person who had literally never seen down there. No, I'm not going to get major surgery just because you don't think I'm large enough. I've had 2 successful natural births. My mom is a petite woman, and she naturally gave birth to my brother who was really close to 10 pounds. They became quite the attraction in the hospital as people saw the monster baby, checked the room number, then saw my mom and wondered how the heck he got out of her. While pregnant with me, my mom was told that drinking beer would help her baby develop and be nice and chubby. I was 5 weeks early and barely 6 pounds. That if you try really hard and stretch a lot, you too can have a natural birth. Not actually a bad plan, as long as you don't wind up not freaking dilating after 30 hours and have an emergency C-section due to fetal distress. Because I just didn't try hard and stretch enough. Taking a bath can cause a miscarriage. To be fair, it was from my husband's incredibly sweet grandmother, who meant well. She was 92 years old at the time and hadn't been pregnant in a very, very long time. She also had a good number of miscarriages. My father-in-law and his sister are 15 years apart in age, so I think she was coming from a different place than most. To be fair, you're not supposed to sit in very hot water, a regular bath, okay? One of my work colleagues was obsessed with recommending that I eat citrus fruits, especially the easy to peel cutie tangerines. She was convinced it would give the baby a higher IQ in the long run. So not really about pregnancy advice, but someone told me to put baking soda in a cup and pee on it first thing in the morning. If it fizzed, I was pregnant with a boy. If it did not fizz, I was having a girl. That's weird. My friends just went and got an ultrasound. No baking soda needed. When I found out I was pregnant a 4th time, 3 losses in a row, I heard so many from strangers. Mine isn't necessarily advice but more open mouth insert foot, are you sure this one is going to work? I was also told if I was on my cell phone or around my modem router it would cause brain damage to my unborn child. She's 4. Perfectly healthy, no brain damage, and let's just say it took a lot of medical attention to get her to full term. Yay to the 4th time giving you your baby girl. Sitting with my legs crossed will cause miscarriage. Don't take a bath, it'll cause a miscarriage. Lifting more than 5 pounds will cause a miscarriage. Wearing tight fitted clothes will cause a miscarriage. Spicy food would cause a miscarriage. I worked retail. A stranger informed me that morning sickness and smell sensitivity isn't real while I was heading to the bathroom to throw up. Also had a customer tell me that the baby isn't actually affecting my bladder. Had a 3rd customer tell me to not drink tap water. Can't remember why. Probably causes miscarriages. My cousin tried to tell me that I had morning sickness because it's God's way of telling a woman she isn't ready for a baby. I had an anterior placenta, so we couldn't feel kicks until close to 30 weeks. My mom was said there's no such thing, and the reason we couldn't feel kicks is BC I was fat. TLDR. Literally everything causes miscarriages and morning sickness is a lie. When I found out I was pregnant, a nurse friend of mine felt the need to rattle off an endless list of crap that could potentially be wrong with my baby. Another friend of mine, when I started telling people I was pregnant after the 3 months and was accused of telling people too early, said it doesn't matter when you tell people, you could have a miscarriage at any point during your pregnancy. They both meant well, but really guys lol shut up. My grandma constantly told me not to argue with my husband because it would cause the baby to be fussy and difficult. Do not go to the zoo BC if you look at a monkey your baby will be ugly. Frozen cabbage leaves in the bra to help with swelling and pain due to breastfeeding. While it felt awesome for the whole minute or so they stayed frozen, they eventually turn to mush and make a mess. Advice I wish someone had given me: get a mattress protector, not just for when your water breaks. Carrying a big baby next to your bladder means just the act of rolling over in bed can cause leakage. And if you are too tired after the birth to take the baby to a changing table or the floor, you're gonna want a layer of protection on your mattress. Soon as that diaper is off, baby will projectile poop. Sheets and walls can be washed, but mattresses can't be. Explosions are real. Prepare yourself. I wasn't told frozen cabbage leaves, but actual freezable gel pads. They were pretty awesome and helped get me through the first 2 weeks until the nips toughened up. My mom was talking to my paternal grandma while pregnant with me, then winced because I was kicking her ribs. My grandma told her swat it so it'll know. She wanted my mom to spank fetus me through her own belly for kicking her. After my mom told us that story, swat it so it'll know became a common response anytime someone was complaining about something. Well, I am the husband father, but a doctor told my 38 or 39 week pregnant wife that her condition was no excuse to not keep me physically satisfied. Not even sure why it was brought up. She was just getting a regular checkup. I wasn't even there. Doc busts out with this. Not her regular doctor. Her regular doctor was also off pregnant. She was not impressed, to say the least. So there's the advice. Being pregnant is no reason to not please your so. When I was 9 months pregnant, I was having an Egg McMuffin in McDonald's, and a random woman asked me when I was going to abort. She meant induce. With my first baby, I had a random lady in a grocery store tell me to take a bath in bleach because it's good for the skin and for the baby's growth and development. I was mortified. I was told that heartburn during the pregnancy meant that the child had a lot of head hair. Had a crap load of heartburn. Kid barely had hair. Haha, I never had heartburn and my son was like a werewolf at birth. Seriously, back hair. Don't go swimming or the baby will drown. 25 years old co-worker. All I could picture is the nugget with a straw out my ho-ha to breathe. My friend's dad was a chiropractor. She told him I hadn't had miscarriages. He told me, no wonder. You will lose every pregnancy with a pelvis like that. Freaked me out so much, and I guess I ruined the party by crying and leaving. And my friend was mad at me. I have back trouble, yes, but I have 3 children living. I think the person who made you cry and leave is the one who ruined their party. What a fricked up thing to say to someone. My adorable father-in-law told me I had to deliver naturally. If I had a C-section, I wouldn't love my baby as much because I didn't suffer for him. First of all, the kid was comfortably sitting and was not turning around. You utter butthole. I was not about to risk my kid's life in a feet-first delivery. No sir. Second, a C-section is a major surgery and a pain in the butt. Believe me, I did suffer. You try being cut open like that while awake and then deal with a feisty colicky newborn while recovering from it. Third, really? I need to feel pain in order to love my child? I can't even. Fourth, you don't even have a uterus. Old man. Zip it. Ah, that felt good. Not allowed to sew either using sewing machine or hand. It will cause the umbilical cord to tangled. I feel like that was something that a woman a long time ago made up to get out of doing the sewing. I wholeheartedly approve. Just because you almost died carrying that one, don't let it stop you from having another one, because all pregnancies are different. Okay, then I could potentially have 2 motherless children. Sounds like something a responsible adult should do. I had extremely high blood pressure and the placenta dropped so low the doctor said just bending over could cause a problem. They couldn't see the bottom on ultrasound and had to use a wand. I had such bad morning sickness, and then when that was done I had acid reflux so bad I was throwing up 3-10 times a day. I didn't gain any weight my whole pregnancy and couldn't eat. Doctor said just the elevation in blood pressure alone was reason enough never to do it again. Currently pregnant, and currently dealing with my mother who became an anti-vaxxer 13 years ago. I had no idea. Just found out recently when I mentioned I got my DAP and flu shot, and I asked if everyone in the family was caught up because the baby is due next month and flu season is right around the corner. She called me a freaking idiot for putting rotting DNA in my body while pregnant. She refuses to get a flu shot, so I refuse to let her see her first grandchild. Not taking chances with my kid's life because you can't be bothered to do legitimate research or listen to me when I try and explain it to her. When I was pregnant with my son, his dad's family tried to make me get rid of my cat. They said that the cat would crawl on top of the baby's face and suffocate him because he smelled like milk. One of his relatives actually went as far to say I was a bad mom if I didn't get rid of the cat. Son is 3 years old now and the cat has never given 2 shoots about him. Not to eat tomatoes or anything acidic, because it would give the baby heartburn. Not me, the baby, because, you know, apparently babies in the womb can eat the same food that the mom does. My mother-in-law was very upset that we decided against circumcising our firstborn. After a week of passive-aggressive comments about it during her visit, she went Super Saiyan by mumbling, "His penis will be small, circumcised dongs are bigger." I hope you whispered back, "All baby dongs are small." Oh, and my other grandmother told me it was a sin against God's will to have an induction and that I angered God for forcing my baby out of me. Lol, okay, whatever you say, crazy lady. It wasn't really advice per se, just something some crazy old bat came up with, lol. What is the worst advice you've ever received in your life? Don't quit your job at Walmart. You've been here for 3 years. Just 7 more and you'll be fully vested in the company. One thing I just remembered about that job. We had a manager who, since the time I started working there, couldn't speak above a whisper no matter how hard she tried. It had been like this for years. 2 years after I was hired, she finally found a doctor who figured out the problem. Apparently, if you're stressed out every single day for years on end, it can cause a psychogenic voice disorder. He ordered her to take 3 months off work. When she came back, she could speak normally. Those blue vests just aren't worth it. When I was in high school, I had a friend who was not the smartest. I remember him telling me if I didn't want to get a woman pregnant, then she should be on top so the sperm can't flow up. He became a father his sophomore year. He must have been so confused. You know, son, there really is no such thing as cheating if you aren't married. The Bible doesn't recognize any relationship that isn't bound in the covenant of the Lord. So until you are married, relationships don't really exist. Thanks, Dad. You just indirectly explained why you're on your 3rd marriage. I called Kids Help Phone when I was a teen to ask for advice on how to help my depressed friend. They advised I find new friends. I wish I was making this up. The conversation was very short. I explained my friend has been struggling, depressed with no motivation and isolating herself from others. Along those lines. It was a while back, and what can I do? The only piece of advice they gave me was to let her sort it out on her own and find new friends. That's it. Nothing to interpret or misinterpret, I don't think. We remained friends though, and she's alright now. Man, this is worse than when I went to the doctor age 17 for depression and he said write a journal of things that make me feel sad and eat more bananas. Get used to it. My old boss told me when 8 hours day shift job changed to variable 8-10 hours night shift, this would effectively remove me from spending time with my wife and young children. Took his advice as catalyst to engineer the greatest adventure of my life. Transferred to job across country. Hugely upgrading living conditions for my family. New boss completely understanding of the demands on a parent, adjusts my work schedule accordingly. I am so thankful for my new boss, but I am even more thankful for old boss, for giving me the worst advice I've ever received in my life. When my marriage was on the rocks, my dad said, "Son, go out and find yourself an older woman that just wants to FK and keep your marriage. She, wife, doesn't have to know. You'll be getting laid and the older woman will be happy without a commitment." Thankfully, I didn't go that route, and my marriage is repaired and stronger than ever today. But the old lady who just wants to frick is still lonely. Stop being so selfish. Mentioned in passing that my boyfriend suffered from a terrible Charlie horse in the middle of the night. My bizarre space cadet of a co-worker heard this and immediately interjected, frantically explaining that I needed to get him to a hospital because this was a surefire symptom of pregnancy. She also recommended that I call the news because my boyfriend is, well, a man. I guess she thought history was about to go down. Spoiler alert, he wasn't pregnant. It looks like you're using an ad blocker. Please turn it off to continue viewing this page. I saw a message on slate.com that was do badly condescending about this. I never went there again. Not that they lose any money from my absence, mind you. When my daughter was an infant, my wife couldn't breastfeed and my daughter couldn't digest formula very well, so I had to buy a special pre-digested formula for like $25 can. I was at the cashier paying for the formula. The guy in front of me was gathering his things. He said to me, he says, "When my kids were babies, I wish I knew what I know now." I was like, "What's that?" What do you know? He says, babies don't need formula. All they need is sugar water. All the rest is a scam. I was like, I'm so glad you didn't know that back then. Yeah, my brother had someone tell him that babies can start eating solids 2-3 weeks after birth. The co-worker who told him this has 2 children. Just have kids, you'll figure out how to afford them later. Guy at my work once told me that as long as you didn't physically block the exit, it wasn't considered debauchery. I had just asked how to deal with my girlfriend who wasn't upfront about her interests. Guy at my work once told me that as long as you didn't physically block the exit, it wasn't considered debauchery. The frick. My high school guidance counselor said that I wasn't college material and I took her advice and started the process of joining the Marines with my friends, who were also told this. My chemistry teacher at the time scheduled a substitute, personally drove me to a nearby college, and sat there with me while I spoke with admissions. Fast forward a few years, after receiving a chemistry and chemical engineering dual degree and then going on to get a PhD in chemical engineering, I'd say that guidance counselor knew jack crap. TLDR, my guidance counselor said I wasn't college material, and was proven to be full of crap. I upvoted you, but it was for your chemistry teacher. What a great person. Just listen to your academic advisor. They know what they're doing. Thousands of dollars added cost to education, an extra senior year, and a withdrawal on record. Seriously, don't be afraid to push back on your advisors if you're concerned about what they say or do. Just don't fight back. Men act like that because they want to assert dominance. As soon as he realizes you've accepted his behavior, he will leave you alone. Usually if he acts like this to begin with, it will only get worse if you are submissive. When I was little I told my mom I was sad because some kids were bullying me. She said I should tell them that when they bullied me it hurt me inside, and they would stop. I did what she said. This was bad advice. They did not stop. I know someone who taught her 5-year-old to tell people you're making me very angry. Yup, that worked out really well. I have an open door policy, so don't hesitate to come see me if you have any issues at all. I learned the hard way to never trust any boss or HR rep that says that crap. Utilizing open door policies is a dang good way to get fired for being a troublemaker. Don't go through chemotherapy. Eat this nut and berry mix instead. My younger sister, when she visited me in the hospital when I went for febrile neutropenia, no white blood cells, had fever. She also showed up claiming to have bronchitis and didn't wear a mask and full on hugged me. Yeah, she is a piece of work. Even knowing what I do now about what it would do to my reproductive health. TLDR. Permanent menopause at 26. I'd still go with chemotherapy 1100%. I was going to die without it, with a 100% guarantee. I would be dead by the time I turned 27. My life is more important than my ability to have children the old-fashioned way. Added to clarify, I was diagnosed with diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, co-classified with bulky disease, and was receiving chemo for it. The febrile neutropenia was a side effect of the treatment. My psychiatrist told me I could stop taking the SNRI antidepressants I was on more or less cold turkey. It was technically safe, but holy crap, it was a tough couple of weeks. Partly because of unpleasant physical sensations and partly because it was the closest to actual crazy I'd ever felt. Buy a house. In 2006. It'll be the best decision you ever make. Worst decision I've ever made. Same. On the other hand, financing it was surprisingly easy. Today, no way. When I found out I was pregnant with my youngest son, my mom and her boyfriend told me to abort. Not because I couldn't afford the baby, or that there was something wrong with him, but because my mom was going through menopause and didn't want to be reminded that she couldn't have any more kids. No, I was not pregnant with my son's baby. I was pregnant with my son who was the baby. Yes, this did happen. No, my mom is no longer with the boyfriend because he ran out of money. Yes, I still am in contact with her because she has had some sort of mental breakdown and is living in my house. Yes, I hate her. But my brother noped the F out when my mom threatened to punch his wife because she wanted my mom to vacuum her room because she had bugs. So instead of her being homeless, we let her live with us. I wish I had noped out too, but 40 years of abuse can frick with a person. Yes, I had my son. He's 10. I was 30 when I had him. My husband and I are still together. I am so sorry your mom is such a selfish bro. Just open another credit card. It's free money coming from my friend who is in thousands of dollars worth of debt and has no idea she will eventually have to pay that off. Also another gem, this same girl thought she would get a marketing job right out of college that would pay her $70,000 a year and she wouldn't take anything less because she would be selling herself short. Don't be afraid to seek help at mental health. It won't adversely affect your Air Force career. I've been turned down for 2 amazing job opportunities because of my visits to mental health. To clarify, I'm already in the Air Force. I saw mental health for depression and anxiety related issues and was later rejected for new jobs within the AF because of those visits. Despite assurances to and endorsements by several providers stating that my issues had been resolved, the last couple years of my life and career have been immensely frustrating. And it's put me in a dark place that I haven't really been able to escape since. I'm not planning to do anything stupid. Don't get me wrong, but it's hard to see the proverbial light lately. I'm not giving up. I think I'm too stubborn to do that, but I have come to realize that I'm probably gonna be here for a while, so I might as well make myself comfortable. In my final semester of college, my insanely jealous, distraught mother called me to make one last plea to get me to drop out. She went on to say, what would you do if you had to watch helplessly as your own daughter threw her life away and became a nurse? By the way, she married an elementary school dropout and was a bitter retail worker. She couldn't handle watching me be the first in the family to graduate from college and make something of myself, and she dealt with it by constantly shaming me. If I scored 99% on something, she complained about the last 1%. If I got 100%, she said I was stupid because I didn't earn bonus marks. We don't talk anymore and I'm a successful nurse. This is really mild in comparison to some of the things my mother has said and done to me. As is tradition, I received the typical "well, I hope you still love her and talk to her. Be the better person" response that survivors of childhood abuse often receive. If your abuser won't stop, there is nothing wrong with leaving and never looking back. Yes, even if it's your mother. This is me being the better person and respecting myself and my children enough not to subject us to abuse. A friend of mine would always get me to talk about my relationships and would somehow twist the smallest things into seeming like they were really bad and then suggest that I should break up with them, and I would be like, you're right, why am I putting up with this crap when it could have been something completely normal? Happened with 3 girls in a row and it was always the same stuff he said, and I just snapped out of it one day and realized that I had been the crappy BF, and the reason it didn't work was because of how I was acting after hearing all these things put into my head. Think he was just jealous because he could never get any girls, but what a weird thing to look back on. It's quite funny how many comments here are suggesting he was into me because we actually shared a bed for a few months years ago as he got kicked out of his apartment and had nowhere else to go, and I was still living with my parents, so the sofa was a no-go. I feel unclean. Engineer, salaried, married with a kid, also have a master's degree and several years of experience. VP of the company advised me to work at McDonald's after work if I wanted to make more money. He even took his calculator out and told me how many hours I should work. The guy was fired about a year after that for bullying employees. I tried to leave but ended up staying and turned down other jobs. Not a bad place to be for now. I spoke about it to a couple of senior executive I trusted at the time. Legally married to an adult female. The kid is a result of said marriage. Just for the records. This had to be a ploy, even if it was something as base as to keep you from exploring your real alternatives. This wasn't me personally, but my mom told me that we had a neighbor that used to constantly tell my dad that life insurance was a waste of money and tried to convince him to stop paying for it. Fortunately, my dad was intelligent because he died 5 years later and my family would have been completely destroyed without it. There are different kinds of life insurance. Some people really have issues with whole life and say it's a bad investment. Either way, thank goodness your dad stuck with his plan. I'm so sorry for your loss and hope you're doing okay. My careers advisor in high school. When I said I think I want to do something with computers, she said, have you heard of Microsoft? Then she wrote Microsoft on a piece of paper and slid it across the table, and that was my careers interview over. Someone told me that I should have kids in my early 20s so I can just get it out the way. That's not how that works. Your family is the only thing that will ever be there for you. Not your friends, your family. And I just got excommunicated from my narcissistic, abusive family 2 days before Thanksgiving. LOL, my dad tries to guilt trip me all the time using this. No man, the one person who's always been there for me is my best friend. You're just upset your kids don't love you. Anything in any romantic comedy ever. Harass the woman you want with unwanted, over the top romantic gestures until she falls in love with you. Stop reading. You read too much. You're going to hurt your eyes. Go watch TV for a while. My grandma, every time she visited, while grabbing the books from my hands, it was like something off The Simpsons. Have children as soon as possible. Number. Children are hella expensive. 8th grade geography exam is coming up. We've been studying the Middle East. Father has recently returned from Africa, where someone had incorrectly informed him that Israel is technically a part of Africa. He was extremely convincing. My teacher literally said, Jesus, we've been studying this for weeks, kid. Take a piece of sandpaper and rough your nipples up before the baby comes. A co-worker to pregnant me about breastfeeding. Go see Jack and Jill with Adam Sandler. It's funny. Todd from accounting. Stop thinking about depression. There are more people who have greater problems than yours, not Vibber. It's like saying don't eat food when you're hungry because someone somewhere is starving. Ignore the bullies. You don't need to fight them, but standing up for yourself is far better than taking it, internalizing it and letting it hold you back. College roommate. Drink beer and nothing hard when you party. It fills you up so you'll throw it up before you get alcohol poisoning, and then you can drink more right away. College can kind of be scary when it comes to people's opinions and suggestions about drinking. I didn't really drink at all in high school, so I didn't know my tolerance or limits when I got to college. People would be trying to get me blackout drunk and crap. I'm all for a good time, but binge drinking is risky. Don't make any friends. Friends will ruin your life. I haven't made any friends and I've ruined my own life just fine. Thank you very much. When I was about 5-6 years old, I was given a Superman cape for my birthday. I was told that it could make me fly. After a few days of not being able to fly, I began asking people how to make it work. They advised that I needed to find somewhere high up to jump off of, so I started jumping off fences, trees. Then I was told I needed to jump something taller. When I was a teenager and had acne, none of the over-the-counter acne medicine was working. My mom brought me to a dermatologist and the medicine they prescribed was very expensive, so before buying it, my mom searched for any home remedies online. The home remedy she found was to use urine. The way to apply was worse. My mom went to the store to buy supplies, and for over a month I would pee into a diaper and place it on my face for 15 minutes as part of my morning routine. Worst advice I've ever taken. I was miserable with the school I was in and wanted to study my dream career. A friend told me that no one does what they like and I should deal with it. I didn't. I did leave, and now I am about to get a degree on the career I love. I know things will be tough, but I don't regret it. In my country most of us are out of jobs, so I figured, if I'm going to be unemployed, better be at something I like. It really depends on what it is. I got a degree in audio video and have had all sorts of odd jobs. Weigh your options. Somebody told me girls like to be smacked around a little. Pro tip, always ask first. Also introduce yourself first. Schedule all your college courses at 8 AM. Then you've got the rest of the day to relax. This works if you're a morning person. Afternoon classes were heck for me, but I loved having 8s. When you're undecided about what to do with your life and people say do what you're passionate about, love, well freaking thank you. Like, I'm obviously not that passionate about anything if I've got to ask this question, right? I hate this advice. I've been depressed for years and subsequently am hardly passionate about anything. I barely have the motivation to even look for new things to get excited about. To be honest, I don't know if I'll ever find a job I enjoy because I don't enjoy much of anything. Your high school years will be the best ones of your life, so you better enjoy them while you can. If high school was the greatest time of my life, then I would have been better off killing myself then and there. What is the most horrifyingly wrong or incorrect advice you've ever heard? One of my stepdaughters. I never carry any ID because that way when the police pull you over then can't tell if you have warrants or not. Yeah, that'll work. Had a health science teacher, in college mind you, tell the entire class that they should all just stop taking their prescription meds because that is what is killing you. That professor wasn't stupid. She just hated their students. Your pen stopped working? Take the ink tube out and suck on the open end of it. That'll make it work again. You can guess what happened. Reading Cosmopolitan to look at their advice for women. The whole thing was pretty ridiculous, but the things that stand out most to me right now is, on the first date, make it as hard and awkward for the guy to keep the conversation going as possible. To make him more attracted to you, start hitting on other men in front of him, and you can tell he's cheating on you if he has male friends who don't hang out with you. I'm pretty sure magazines like this intentionally give bad dating advice in order to keep their readers single and thus buying Cosmo for dating advice. I know this one woman that has serious genetic abnormalities, and if she were to get pregnant she needs to be monitored by specialists prior to conception and labeled high risk, as one specific health problem could cause the fetus she carries to develop brain damage or life-threatening congenital problems. Her preacher told her it was wrong to use birth control, or get ultrasounds, or give birth in a hospital, or vaccinate her children, so she is not getting any healthcare whatsoever besides homeopathy and prayer at church. She is encouraging others with the same condition to live the same lifestyle, because she has had one borderline healthy child, and one dead one. My dad worked as a car salesman for 1 year back in the late 90s. I graduated college in 99 and got my first real job that fall. I had been driving my grandfather's 82 Chevy Celebrity, reeked of cigar smoke, and started commuting from rural Maryland to Beltway, Virginia about an hour. Got in an accident involving a deer carcass, bent the frame. Dad recommends getting a new car. I only had 1 or 2 paychecks under my belt, and instead of advising me to look for something used or just doing what I could to keep the Celebrity going, he said I should go to his old dealership, talk to his friend and get a brand new 2000 VW Jetta. He said since I had just graduated college, the best plan would be to sign a student lease. That is, a lease with a limit of 15k miles a year despite my 100 mile a day commute. I did exactly what he recommended. Totally my fault for not doing math. I was a dumb kid too excited by the thought of getting my first brand new car per parental recommendation. I eagerly put a whopping $1,000 down. Cut to 4 years later, the balloon hits and I'm over double the allotted miles. Following my dad's advice, I wound up paying about $30k for a $16k vehicle. Ouch, yeah, that's some terrible advice. My son's father was a horrible alcoholic. He would disappear for days at a time. I can't tell you how many times I was told to stick it out just because we had a child together. First, I thought you were your son's father. Then I realized that mothers have sons as well. I feel stupid now. My 8th grade teacher told us when we got to college to not go to class because the professors like and respect you more if you skip class to figure out the material on your own. Glad I didn't listen to that advice. In high school, our teachers constantly said that college professors don't care if you miss class. Out of 35 professors I have had, only 3 didn't take attendance. The rest had policies of if you miss X amount of classes, you automatically fail. The day I realized I need to stop taking career advice from my dad was when he said the following, when I was about 17. Everyone goes into computers now. Too many people. All the people your brother's age went into computers at university, so there's no point in you doing it. You need to do something else if you want to find a job. I now live with a 29-year-old app developer who earns £45k. It was terrible advice from a man who was too old to really understand that computers weren't just a fad. Friend of the family, His wife of 20 plus years dies from cancer. Now ex-sister-in-law practically berates him at the dinner table, telling him that now is not the time for being selfish and grieving the way he wanted, which was moving in with family to be supported until he got disability housing because he's blind. Nobody had a problem with this BTW. I never wanted to smash someone's face into the dinner table so badly. What a C. When my dad was younger, his older sister had food poisoning, and from what I remember, it was pretty sudden and violent. They called the doctor and I guess buying ipecac would have taken too long or something. But he told my grandma to just keep making her eat raw eggs until she puked up what was making her feel ill. Also, my other grandma was told, even though she was not a smoker, to pick up smoking when she was pregnant with her second child. My mom, because her first one was a big baby and the smoking would make the next one attractively small, svelte, if you will. My grandmother was told to pick up smoking when she was pregnant to relax her and therefore cause less stress to the fetus. I guess this was pretty common advice back in the day. Had a guy in welding class try to tell me it would be just fine if we connected the oxygen tank to the line that carried argon for TIG welding. A gas is a gas, this'll work just as good. I personally shudder to think about what might have happened if someone struck a welding arc in the presence of pure, extremely reactive oxygen. Heck, the whole point of using argon is to shield your weld from oxygen contamination. Also, oxygen tanks typically have reverse threads to keep dumbasses like this guy from connecting them to the wrong gas line. Hey Tuscaloosa, look at this. Some idiots at the factory must have gotten this thread backwards. Don't worry though, I just hit it with a hammer enough times and I think it's pretty snug on there. I'm gonna go on my smoke break. See you. The owner of an outdoor summer camp I used to go to did a big lecture about sun protection at the beginning of each week, and always carefully explained that people with darker skin did not need to wear any. They need to wear some, but not as much as the pastor kids. In February 2011 I was denied a UK PSW visa after I completed my Master of Sciences. The problem was on my end, so I have no one to blame. Essentially I screwed up part of the maintenance section of the application. It wasn't that I didn't meet the qualifications, it was just that I filled out the section wrong. I was given a week's time to either leave the country or to appeal the decision. In that time I spoke to a few immigration solicitors on the best course of action. The first solicitor I spoke with told me that I would be stupid not to appeal, because that would extend my leave in the UK for as long as the appeal takes. He also said I was stupid to not hire a solicitor in the first place because I wouldn't be in this mess if I did. Then he told me that I was guaranteed to lose my appeal, but I should hire him anyway because at least he knows what he's doing. This would cost me £140 for the appeal fee and £1,500 for the hiring of this solicitor. No thank you. Another solicitor I spoke with told me to go ahead with the appeal but to also submit a fresh application. His logic was this: by submitting an appeal my leave to remain in the UK would be extended until the appeal takes place. And because I did meet the qualifications, a new application would be accepted if I filled it in correctly this time around. This sounded like solid advice, so I researched the possibility of doing this. According to the UKBA you are not allowed to this, and your appeal and new application gets thrown out of course after they process the £561 visa fee and the £140 appeal fee. I ended up submitting the appeal, but with advice like this, I could not in my right mind even consider hiring a solicitor. I ended up representing myself in immigration court and I won my appeal. TLDR. My UK visa was denied. I ignored the advice of immigration solicitors and won my appeal. Please PM me these solicitors' names so I would avoid them. Thanks in advance. Condoms don't protect against HIV. Heard this from a generally intelligent, albeit very Christian young lady doing outreach work with inner city teens. I had to sit her down for a talk. The last thing those kids need is one more person reinforcing the idea that since condoms don't always work, there's no point in using them. When I was in high school, we only had one sex ed session in grade 9. The instructor told us you needed to put on 8 condoms at the same time to prevent the transmission of HIV. Any less and the virus could still get through. Everything will work itself out. No, it freaking doesn't. I fix everything and then they say see. It all worked out. So sick of hearing that. The director of a charity bicycling organization to new riders. Don't worry about picking up biking gloves, you don't need them. In addition to protecting your hands in case of a fall, which is like 1% of their function, cycling gloves protect two nerves that run through your palms. Leaning on handlebars for long periods of time dulls these nerves, and that makes your hand numb and difficult to move. Particularly, it makes it hard to form a fist, which is how you fricking brake on a bicycle and prevent huge accidents, goddammit. Alternatively, have a bike that fits well enough that you're not doing a handstand the whole time you're riding. I know a guy who thought if he drank enough Mountain Dew, it sterilized his little swimmers so he could go in bareback. My uncle was also in the Navy. Whenever he and his shipmates would make port, they would briefly walk in front of the radar to sterilize themselves for several days. From my dad, the truck driver. Why are you going to college for engineering? You'll never have a pension. Just go get you a good union job. Opposites attract. What is true for magnets is not true for human beings. Also, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I think that is one of the worst pieces of advice that is commonly given to children throughout the lower levels of grade school. How can you tell a child this and then explain to him why using a racial slur is wrong or why bullying is wrong? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will give me mental illnesses and led to my suicide. Go scatter your loved one's ashes wherever. I'm now a funeral director and there's a huge list of places where it is illegal to scatter them. Most state parks, for example, families can get fined large amounts. Every time I hear a parent tell me they won't vaccinate their kid because it'll make them autistic, I want to strangle them. I don't want to catch some medieval plaque just because they're stupid enough to believe everything they hear or read. Do some research. People, vaccines may cause some complications in very few people, but the benefits they provide, specifically in preventing global pandemics, far outweigh the risks. After having to cancel a job interview because of a rather severe family emergency, my father-in-law told me next time to just take my 3 children with me to the interview. This would be bad enough without the added fact that my middle child is autistic and needs constant supervision. Never change yourself for your boyfriend, girlfriend. If you are a crappy person and are hurting you so because of your crappy qualities, then it's always better to change. Also, sometimes small sacrifices are okay to be made if it means maintaining a happy relationship. I feel like part of the reason there are so many divorces is because everyone is being told not to change. It's a personal belief of mine that a healthy relationship helps both people develop, change, into better people. Not too bad or anything, but there is a bus route that recently got combined into another route. 510 no longer comes around. It's only the 509 now. This lady gets on a bus and asks if the 509 goes the same route as the 510. The bus driver says sort of and leaves it at that. The lady asks again, where does this bus go? The driver asks, where do you want to go? Lady says, I don't know, I just know it's on the 510 line. Bus driver looks at her blankly. Lady then says, never mind, I'll just wait for the 510. Bus driver then says, okay, you do that. I felt bad for the lady because she left before I could speak up. Stupid bus driver made her wait in the rain for a bus that would never come. The lady is a bit lost and she should know where she's trying to go, but the bus driver was the worst. Every rose has its thorn. Actually, there are several varieties of thornless roses, just as there are plenty of cowboys who don't even sing. Every night does have its dawn, though, so far, anyway. Many years ago when I lived in Cali and was getting a divorce during a time this state had decided to add mandatory counseling because of the high divorce rates. So I am waiting, and I can hear everything that is being said by the person in the counseling booth. The woman is crying and saying that her husband has been drinking and beating her since his release from jail. The counselor's response? You can either break up your family or accept him the way he is. Worst advice ever. Number. That's the best advice ever. Those are her 2 options. And it's a choice. Literally, that is the simplest way to look at it. I don't see how else you can look at it. He's not just gonna magically not drink and stop beating her. You shouldn't even want to have a girlfriend until you are 22 years old, my dad. My mom said 23. Frick em both for making me feel crappy about talking to girls at 17. Never give up on someone you can't go a day without thinking about. That made a bad breakup worse because he held onto it for way too long. The physician who diagnosed me as being diabetic told me to just get more exercise and avoid sweets. I was already physically fit and an avid mountain bike rider. No advice to get a meter or see an endocrinologist, which I later did on my own. The specialist, of course, helped me create a sensible management plan. By the way, of the dozen diabetics I have known in my life, 11 were like me, not obese. Just sane, because people tend to think diabetes is always the fault of the person who has it. I once worked in a nursing home and overheard two black nurses berate this really nice black guy, also a nurse, from Ethiopia about not acting black American black. Imo. It was the man's sincerity and kind ways that made people like him so much. Made me kind of sick that they were trying to basically poison him against others. If you go to a black or Hispanic neighborhood, do not pull out your cell phone, because then they'll know you're rich and kill you. Patton Oswalt's friend's mom. Do not unit test. It's stupid and you don't gain anything. One junior to another junior heard over my headphones music. There was a man in Glasgow, Scotland, who had been repeatedly stabbed and was bleeding to death. His family didn't know what to do, but they'd have heard the phrase to rub salt in the wounds, so that's what they did. He died in agony. Any hole is a goal. No, it is not. Just because someone is willing to sleep with me, doesn't mean it's a good idea to do so. Any person who has uttered those words to me has lost at least 800 respect points. From my mom as I was rushing to get ready for a movie date: it doesn't matter what you look like because no one will see you in the dark. Learning about Shakespeare's The Tempest for my English A level, and we get to the mask section. Teacher, I'll give you a brief overview because it's not that important and they never ask about it in the exam. Exam day arrives. Teacher, okay everyone, turn over your paper. Your time starts now. 50 pupils open to a 15 marker on the significance of the mask in the play. I had the opposite happen, so it wasn't really bad, just funny. My AP European history teacher drilled into us during the entire year that the AP exam loves maps, so he made sure we knew lots and lots of maps. Test day comes and there's not a single map. We threw that in his face for the rest of the year. When I was worried I didn't understand all of my student loan paperwork, the financial aid advisor told me I should have a baby so I could qualify for grants and scholarships. Double bag it. Using 2 condoms makes them rub against one another and makes them more likely to break. I had a friend who told me she was being extra safe with her boyfriend by doing this. Fraternity house. I was a pledge. During a party, some guy threw up what looked like gallons of Brunswick stew all over a small bathroom that was downstairs in the fraternity house. Pledge brothers start freaking out because all we had to clean it with was a little bit of bleach. Then out of nowhere, one of my pledge brothers comes up with the idea that we can use this gallon of ammonia he found to clean up the rest of the mess. Literally an instant before he poured it all over the ground. I shouted wait, then I proceeded to explain to him that he almost killed us all Hitler style, us and 300 inebriated college idiots. Last year I had a gay roommate. During the year I was having some girl problems and talking to a friend about it, and she said, "It's because your roommate is gay. You need to spend time with manly guys so you'll be interested in girls again." Everything happens for a reason. Biggest pile of crap ever. People who say that have no idea of the true horrors in this world. Horrifyingly wrong advice. Children cannot grow to be healthy, happy, successful, reasonable people unless they are raised by both a heterosexual father and a heterosexual mother. Not life-changing, but entertaining. I was good friends with an Asian exchange student in high school. We had to do a presentation for class. He wrote some story about dragons, but didn't know the word for dragon. I told him it was Mastodon, so he went to the front of the class and did the presentation in broken English saying Mastodon some 25 times. May sound mean, but we were good friends, and these were the sort of things we did to each other. After my wife and I got a puppy, we were amazed by the sheer volume of unsolicited dog training advice. Lots of people think the key to being a good dog owner is being the dominant alpha, and one woman very aggressively insisted that we get a choke chain for walks. WTF. people. I don't want to hurt my puppy or make him scared of me. If you're having a hard time getting something to fit, just force it in. I have found this advice to be horrible in many situations. Redditors 25+. What life advice would you give to the teenagers of today? Do not start smoking. As much as I love cigarettes, it's by far the worst decision I've ever made. The money I've spent on smoking could have almost paid off my car by now. I bet if you did the math you could actually pay for several cars by now. Always leave a note. Don't leave the door open with the air conditioner on. You may kill a man. 40+ here. To anyone under the age of 18, unless you are a prodigy of either the very good or very bad kind, nothing that you accomplish, or fail to accomplish, in high school is going mean jack crap in 20 years. Captain of the football team? Doesn't matter. Prettiest girl in school? Doesn't matter. Stoned kid in the back of class? Doesn't matter. Hopless friendless loner obsessed with books about dragons and robots? Doesn't matter. In 20 years, odds are you will not play football professionally. Your tea will no longer defy gravity. You are not doomed to a life of hanging out on park benches asking for change. You might even get laid. Above all, even if your own conduct affects you, there is time and ample opportunity for you to fix stuff. You are not the category you fell into. The world is huge, and the differences you think make you totally unique and special in a class of 500 will matter not at all in a college of 10,000. This should not depress you. This should fill you with hope. What you are now, the things that seem most important and most crucial to your day-to-day life, will magically disappear one day, to be replaced by an entirely new set of worries, hopes, and desires. Learn to roll with it. I really wish someone had told me this when I was a freshman. It would have made me feel better. My advice would be to actually take the advice people give you. I don't wanna. Be nice to your body. It's the only one you get. You'll pay for the things you do to it before you figure out you aren't invincible. I'm 31 and have spent the last 4 years paying. My grandmother told me once, everything you put in your body you will get back with interest. Smoking isn't worth it, copious amounts alcohol is worse, and fast food will kill you. The love of your life that you just met a week ago might not actually be the best person for you. Find any way to go to college that doesn't require massive school loans. Go to a 2-year first and then transfer to a 4-year. Apply to every scholarship offer you can. However, if you can, through scholarships or rich parents, I'd highly recommend living in the dorms at least your first year. It's an experience you won't be able to get anywhere else, and you can make some lifelong friends there. Never accept being called smart, genius, or intelligent. There is always more to learn and you should never be satisfied with the knowledge you have obtained. Knowledge is all relative and can easily slip away if you get lazy. And that's why I am 25 and working at Geek Squad. I'm still in school and constantly am kicking myself for not working harder earlier on. If you've gotten by easy in HS by barely looking at your work, do not expect that to continue in your future endeavors. Actually put some effort into learning new things. You are not entitled to anything. Don't whine when you don't get the car you want, or the clothes you want, or the phone you want. Likewise, don't expect the world to magically hand you the job you want, or the love of your life, on a silver platter. I'm pretty sure most teenagers, then and now, feel entitled. I think part of becoming mature is realizing that the world owes you nothing, and that you owe a lot of people for everything you have. Find out who you are. Work out what you want to do. Nothing else matters. Upvote for haiku. I expect to see these more, at least for today. Edit. Fail formatting. Do your best in school. Don't pass up an opportunity. Experience as much as you can in the time you have in this life. You're young, so you have time to recover from stupid mistakes and heartbreaks. So go ahead and travel the world. Ask out any girl or guy you find yourself attracted to. Go to college. Join a club or team of some sort. Jump out of a plane. Kayak over Niagara Falls. Run with the bulls in Spain. Buy that pontoon boat you have your eye on. Fall in love. Have children. Set a goal. Own 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 a. Travel as much as possible. Accept certain inalienable truths. Prices will rise. Politicians will philander. You too will get old. And when you do, you'll fantasize that when you were young prices were reasonable, politicians were noble and children respected their elders. Sorry, you made me think of that sunscreen song. 1. Read the first 3 chapters of How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm not kidding. 2. Learn how to do boring adult crap. Balance a checkbook. Set up an IRA. Pay a bill. Patch a hole in your wall. Install a new ceiling fan. You'll be glad you know how in advance. Trust me. 3. Friends are people who like you for who you are, not what you want people to think you are. It sounds easy, but I didn't learn it until after high school. Don't look at it as boring adult crap. Look at it as grinding XP for your various skill trees. Yeah, it's boring now, but at the higher levels it can be awesome. This website you are on, leave it immediately. Mostly to just relax. If I had to do my teen years over again, I wouldn't have taken it so seriously. Your teen years, yes, do set you up for the rest of your life, but only because of what you consistently do in those years. Do you consistently work hard, get good, realistically, grades, treat people well, make friends easily? Then you're going to be okay. The people who graduate high school and have a ton of problems are the ones who get in trouble with the law now, show a lazy work ethic now, don't improve themselves now, get pregnant or catch diseases now. Unless you're top 1% of going for Ivy Leagues or something, a few small mistakes or regrets over your teen years are nothing in the broad scope of your life. Just do a consistently good job and you'll figure it out. Oh, and don't pay attention to people who are unimpressed with teenagers. They're unimpressed in themselves more. Oh, and don't pay attention to people who are unimpressed with teenagers. They're unimpressed in themselves more. This is true. The older you get, you realize that everyone is insecure, even if you can't really perceive the reason why. Do not take advice from Reddit. But, paradox. Don't go to university for the sake of going to university. It's too expensive if you don't really mean it. If you think you'd be okay working in a trade, do it. If your life's goals don't require an expensive education, don't bother with it. Student debt is the worst debt, and unless you're taking a well-paying degree, you're boned. If you are driven, you know exactly what you want to do. Find out more about what it is you want to do. Go meet with someone who works the profession. Talk to them. See if the good things outweigh the bad. If I had been told this as a teenager, I wouldn't have paid attention because I was wearing rose-colored glasses. I now have a degree I have no interest in using, and I work in what would be more accurately be described as a trade, and I love it. 18 here. Sorry for not being of age, although I would like to share one personal virtue that has probably already been stated, but oh well. Value what you have, and appreciate it. I notice many teenagers today do not value nor appreciate what's right in front of them. Sometimes they even complain about it too. Although, I even catch myself, and sometimes people older than me, doing this from time to time. Take 100% responsibility for your own reproductive health and future. Do not rely on your partner to use protection, ever. If that means you're both using a reliable form of birth control STD prevention, great. Learn how to use your birth control correctly. That includes how to put a condom on yourself or your partner, how to finish and remove it properly, how to set a watch and take your birth control pill at the same time, how to check your IUD strings, how to schedule your appointment for your shot. Whatever the frick you do, make sure you become the best damned user of that birth control method that you possibly can. If there were an award for best user of condoms, you would win it. Remember that people who use the rhythm or withdrawal methods are called parents. I know there's a book, and I know there are ways to make it more reliable, but the chances are at 18, you are not going to make it reliable enough. Rhythm and withdrawal methods are for people for whom a baby is an acceptable risk of sex, and keep a dose of the morning after pill handy, just in case. By the way, proper birth control uses a skill you will need when you're 18, but it's downright necessary when you're 35 years old and returning to the dating pool. If you think having an unexpected pregnancy at 18 is rough, at 40 it becomes potentially dangerous, and raising a child when in your 40s is exhausting. Learning it when you're a teen is a life skill you won't ever regret. TLDR. Use condoms correctly every time. Don't sunbake. I live in California, and I see all sorts of 12-20ish-year-olds running around with mahogany skin looking like beach bunnies. Little do they know, when they're 30, they are going to look 60, when they're 40, they are going to look 90. Take advantage of every available opportunity. Even if it doesn't work out, you can at least justify to yourself that you tried. This will help you cope with disappointment. Life is unfair and it sucks sometimes. That never changes. But as you get older, you gain more power, authority, to change things. Use that power for good. Finally, make sure to always have fun no matter how crazy busy your life gets. Make sure to have a hobby or activity that makes you happy and to engage in it on a regular basis. If you are miserable, your life will be as well. This is really good advice. Read a book on personal finance. Start saving money and invest in your 401k. Don't post drunk stupid pictures on Facebook. It's okay to take a job, or even do a career, to make money. Just make sure to spend it on your passion. Much of what's important now will seem very trivial later on. Having children will rob every ounce of individuality, freedom, and privacy you have, so live your life before you bring those precious beasts into it. Getting married means compromising your goals forever. Period. You simply do not know today what you will want in your life 10 or 20 years from now, unless you're a time traveler. Wait, are you? There are upsides to children and marriage, but you need to enter both with your eyes wide open to the fact that there are negatives. I am 45. I love my kids, 6 and 4 years old, more than anything imaginable, but it is a young person's game. If you want kids, don't wait until you have enough money, because you will never have enough money and they don't need your money. They need your time and your energy. Okay, now I'm going to finish my tapioca. If you sprinkle when you tinkle, be a sweetie and wipe the city. Wrong. If you sprinkle when you tinkle, please be neat and wipe the seat. Wrap that crap up. Don't go to college just to go to college. Go to college because you want to do something that requires a college degree. College is the new high school. If you really want to set yourself apart, you need to get a master's or advanced degree. If you plan to get a master's degree, then go the best cheapest college you can, unless you get into one of the top 10-20, e.g. Harvard, Yale, MIT, etc. Spending a lot of money on undergrad is a waste. The courses are watered down, and the market is flooded with degrees. Go to class. You'll still have plenty of time to have fun. If you're struggling in college because of partying, then you're doing it wrong. Also, if possible, take the hardest major you can. An engineer or chemist can teach elementary school, but a person with literature degree will not be designing aircrafts. Save early and often. Money can't buy happiness, but it can prevent misery. Just because you qualify to finance something, doesn't mean you can afford it. Never loan money to family friends that you need back. Just consider it gone and hope they take you out to dinner sometime. Never tie your happiness self-worth to things. For example, clothes, cars, zip code, electronics, who you're dating, etc. There is always going to be a newer and or better model down the road to make you feel like you need something better. You'll end up associate your happiness to a depreciating object. Marry your best friend, not just the cutie with the big, insert anatomy here. If you don't get along now, you won't later. Houses, dogs, kids, money, bills, etc. won't bring any closer together. Don't be afraid to go on an adventure. No great story ever started with, yeah, instead of tagging along with, person. We just stayed in and watched The Notebook again. Lastly, learn to use firearms. You never know when the zombie apocalypse is coming. Plus, they are fun. Don't let anyone, and I mean no one, ruin your dreams. A lot of people are going to hate you for no reason. More are going to tell you your life isn't worth much. And even more are going to think of you as a failure, but you can do anything you want to with hard work and a little luck. Most people give up on their dreams because of their parents. Your parents want you to live a safe life, to never leave home, or take any risks because you might get hurt and because you love them. Most people give up on their dreams to live the life their parents want for them, a safe one. Listen to your parents. They are wiser than you are and take their advice into account, but at the end of the day, compromise your dreams for no one and take risks, because a story of valiant effort and failure is more exciting than no story at all. Pull up your dang pants. Nobody wants to see your butt looking like a fool with your pants on the ground. Be thankful your list of responsibilities aren't high. Don't be too nice or too mean, because that's one of the top common things people live to regret. Break the routine as much as possible. Just because you're young doesn't mean it's justified to eat a bunch of crap foods or smoke cigarettes. Remember, the goal of college is to develop a skill set which can be used to generate an income which you can live on. Also, do not go into massive debt for a major which does not produce a marketable skill set. Engineer, lawyer, doctor, if you want to be one of those, go to college. Otherwise, take a second to think if you really need your degree to do what you want to do. I am 67 years old and I don't give advice. However, if I did, I'd tell you to don't do what I did. But if you do, wash your hands before you touch your face. Your parents are smarter than you give them credit for. Stop bitching about everything. Most of the time, some parents just suck. I'm 16 and taking notes. That reminds me, my boss said this to me once. When I'm talking, you should be writing. Basically the point is that bosses like to go on long-winded speeches about stuff and you will get bored and not pay attention to every detail. Writing it all down ensures you are paying attention and not letting your mind wander. Travel around and learn about other places. Learn to drive, and how to take a plane, and a cab, and the subway, and a ferry. If you haven't, learn a second language. Learn to play a musical instrument, guitar, flute, piano, anything in your budget. Learn some self-defense. Get in shape, eat healthy, get your education, and make sure it can land you a job that you might enjoy. Make friends. Save and invest your money wisely. Take some risks everywhere, except sexually. A child will turn your life upside down. Talk to people. Be interested in them. Make friends. Read at least one book a month that is outside of your school curriculum. Learn to cook. Learn how to do home and handyman repairs. Learn how to change a tire and learn basics about cars. Learn about how basic technology works. Learn bush skills, if only for interest. Don't say mean things about people, unless they truly deserve it. Remember a few good jokes. Learn some magic tricks that you can do at a dinner table. Learn to swim. Learn the Heimlich maneuver and first aid. Learn how to deliver a baby. 25/F. Don't post inane drivel on Facebook, but if you must, at least make your wall private. Having a degree doesn't automatically mean you'll be rolling in Benjamins. You have to start somewhere. No job is beneath you. No person is beneath you. Hayek. It's important to maintain a school-work-life balance. Don't be that guy. That guy can be the one who shows up late, doesn't listen, leeches off people, is a complete a-hole, etc. Something might happen and it may seem majorly humiliating. Relax. It's not the end of the world if something bad happens. Life goes on. While I agree with literally everything you are saying, by starting off with 25/F you are basically saying as a woman, D. If you ever find a job you love, do it. Money isn't everything. Now that I've obtained more, I wish I had less. I don't enjoy my job. I find my house too big, my car too new with too many options. I'd rather go back to my first 800 square featuring house, drive older beaters with no options, and work a job that pays less but that I enjoy. This is probably the opposite of most people who always want more, but it's true for me. I think you're just part of the next generation. Stay away from negative people. They'll just bring your mood down with them. Focus on the positive instead. 26M here. Don't smoke cigarettes. Ever. Not even when you drink. If you must smoke, make it marijuana. It will at least give you morale. You'll need a lot of morale in early adult life. Carefully though, you don't want any form of mental addiction. Stay away from manipulating personality types. Quality over quantity with friends. Iron out a handful of good friends that are supportive and positive. There's not enough time in the world to juggle more friends than you count. However, always put your own progression of life over friends and family. Sometimes it's best to move on and explore your own dreams. Never refuse to leave because you will miss friends and family. Stay away from credit cards with large amounts. Start building credit by getting 500 maximum. After your credit is good, drop it. Never buy a CC again. It's just not worth it. CC companies ain't becoming more and more sneaky in their hidden fees and questionable policy changes. Get a job while in college. I have a friend who has been in college since 2004 and yet hasn't worked at all. Anywhere. It's almost 2012. He's 26. Lives with his mom and hasn't earned a degree yet. This is a very bad freaking idea. Employers would rather see you have worked 8 years at Walmart in college than not working at all. They want any work experience over no experience. Don't be a fool. Get a job. When you get married and have kids, don't feed into the BS that your life is over and you can't have hobbies. Kids are easy and fun. It's all about perception. Enjoy yourself. Kids will notice your good temper and therefore be in good temperaments themselves. Stressed parents are bad parents. Sneak out back. Smoke a joint. Be happy. Life of grand if you perceive things more positive. Your life does not stop when you're married. Learn how to cook. Lay off fast food. Wash your junk good. Take care of your parents. That's about it. Stay away from manipulating personality types. Quality over quantity with friends. Iron out a handful of good friends that are supportive and positive. This is so true. Just because someone says they love you doesn't mean they really do. Anyone who tells you they love you to make you feel obligated to do something is a douchebag. Don't worry what other people think of you. Don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. 1. If you are in college, treat your studies like a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 job. You will run out of work to do, you will start getting A's, and your weekends will actually be free. The best advice I ever took. 2. In professional life, you are more likely to get ahead if you are personable and get along with people. No matter how smart you are, or how right you are, nothing will advance your career like making friends and being personable. This will take practice, as it did for me, but it has paid off big time. I am introverted by nature, especially within groups of co-workers or executives. Being more outgoing shows people you can be part of team, and that spend time working with you can actually be enjoyable. Once people see you as part of a team, the promotions will come. 1. Find a work-study ethic. I coasted through high school. I was smart enough to work the system and not really have to do much to graduate. My grades were average and I really didn't try. I had no study process and that became apparent when I hit college. In college the teachers don't care if you pass or fail. I started college and promptly dropped out. After that I worked crappy jobs and it was no fun. I eventually lucked into an IT position that allowed me to advance in a short order of time. I however paid the price reading books and practicing non-stop. I was killing myself to learn the things I should have learned in high school or college. 2. Live within your means. Don't put anything on a credit card that you can't pay for. Debt can destroy you and relationships you have. 3. Save money. You never know when you will be out of work. 29 here. I would start off by saying, it gets better. Spend your time in high school preparing yourself for life by acquiring key skills. If you work to be the most popular person in high school, or make sports your only concern, in 10-15 years you are, likely, going to be in a job you dislike and pining for your high school days. Remember, you have far more time to live after high school. Plan for that, and you will be happy. Dye your hair and get a super crazy weird wild hairstyle cause this is the last time you'll be able to really get away with it. Amen. What is the worst advice given to you by a doctor? The pain you are feeling in your right foot is normal. No more light duty for you. US Navy doctor. My Achilles ruptured the next week during a PT run. Was in the Marine Corps. Thank you sir. Take Motrin and hydrate. Not a doctor, but a doctor at campus health services. I went in complaining that I had bad diarrhea that was, by my estimates, 90% blood. Their remedy? Try to stop pooping for a while. Genius. Just stop being sick. I was given 2 different pills for gout by a walk-in clinic doctor because my family doctor was out of town. I started to get really sick a few days after taking the pills, but pushed through it for another couple of days hoping that the horrible swelling pain in my foot would die down. I finally got so sick that my mother dragged me to see my family doctor. He had just gotten back to town. He took one look at my prescriptions and flipped out. Apparently I was going through the early stages of organ failure because the 2 pills I was given should never be taken together. The same walk-in doctor once told me that the reason my throat was so swollen sore when I went in for a cold was because when I was a baby my gills never grew over completely and now they were infected. My friends went on to call me Gill Girl for a month. My gyno said I had a genital wart and brought in the stuff to burn it off. I said I would get a second opinion. I had razor burn, folks. Razor burn. He was going to burn off razor burn. That would have scarred my lady bits. No clue how he could not tell the difference. My new doc wanted to report him. Pretty sure those freckles are cancerous moles. We're going to surgically remove your face, just to be safe. Was lectured loudly for about 5 minutes by my GP about drug seeking when I asked her not to prescribe me opiate painkillers for a moderate shoulder issue I had come in for. She then told me they needed over $200 in blood tests and to stop by the little blood test center thing in the office on my way out to have the draw done. I mentioned that I just came in because my shoulder pain had lasted too long and become a little more than I thought was normal acceptable. She left the exam room without saying a word and didn't come back. So I left and did the same. If take this pill is advice, then the worst advice I got was when I was 13. I have dopa responsive dystonia, neurological disorder, Parkinsonian type symptoms that were getting worse and worse, nearly wheelchair bound. All I need is a little bit of L-Dopa every day and I'm 100% fine. They were already treating my cousin this way with perfect success, but my parents couldn't get the doctor to prescribe L-Dopa. Instead they gave me Haldol, an antipsychotic usually given to schizophrenics. It took what little dopamine I was producing out of my system and made me so much worse. It was horrible and, being 13, had no idea what was going on. Then withdrawal symptoms when mom made me stop taking it. Just after that I finally got my dopamine pills and have been fine ever since. But what a traumatic ride. I physically shuddered when I read the word Haldol. That's a really intense medication for an adult, let alone a 13-year-old. Whoa, I'm so glad you found a decent doctor. Just take some Gaviscon. No testing, no referrals to a gastroenterologist, nothing. Found a new doctor. Turns out, I have Crohn's disease. Also, saw a temporary doctor for cystitis and she prescribed some antibiotics as it wasn't going away on its own. Are you sure? Said the pharmacist. I think I'll give her a call and check. These aren't supposed to be mixed with your immunosuppressants. The doctor assured them that it would be fine. It was not. I survived though. Broke a bone in my knee. First doctor in the year saw the x-ray and said it was broken. Told to go see a specialist in case anything had ripped and it was worse than broken. This sling specialist told me that contrary to what the first doctor saw in the x-ray, my leg was not broken, and that after a week I should start walking. Hurts like heck, but my dad tells me to be a man and walk because it isn't broken. 3 weeks later, after 2 weeks of walking on my leg, I see the specialist. He walks into the room and asks me where my crutches are. I proceed to tell him that I wasn't using them because he told me not to. This sucker then tells me that my leg actually is broken and that he just forgot to call us. Knee is still kind of fricked 5 years later. God dang doctor. Walking on a leg that is kind of fricked up isn't the most comfortable thing. You docs are still great though. Went to a doctor about my bad back. Here do these stretches I read about in the NY Times. Writes NY Times stretching on RX pad. Whoa, that has to be some of the laziest medical advice here. He basically told you to Google your treatment. You don't need an MRI. You have a torn ACL. 2 months later, MRI reveals aggressive giant-celled bone tumor had completely destroyed my right knee and half my femur. You have alcohol intolerance. Try different drinks. Stop using Google. Stayed not more than 45 seconds in his office. Explained to him I had really sharp stabbing pain in my upper back 15 minutes after I drank my first drink from being sober. Every single time. The only thing Google was telling me was Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I told him that. He didn't even got up from his chair to take a look at me. The story goes, 9 months later, bumps appeared on my neck. Yeah, I had the cancer, and it was now stage IV. That was in December 2013. 8 months of chemo later, that alcohol problem has been fixed for now. Still gotta do a scan tomorrow. You could do an AMA. WebMD told me I had cancer. It was actually cancer. AMA. I went to the doctor with the flu, discovered later that it was pneumonia. During the first visit my doctor advised me to smoke cigarettes because they will kill the bacteria in the throat and thus ending my flu. Just wow. Student doctor. I go in because I'm diabetic and I'm having trouble keeping my levels down. No tests, nothing. She tells me she's taking me off the meds because I can control this with diet and exercise. I have already been trying but she won't listen. 6 months later I'm in the hospital with sugar levels over 900. The doctor does some simple tests and determines I am not type 2 but type 1 and my body is no longer producing insulin. I was on IQ for 3 days. I was on the verge of going into a coma. My aunt died of pancreatitis at 52 years old and my mom died of pancreatic cancer at 44. About a year after my mom passed away, I asked the doctor if there were any tests or scans I could start having done to catch anything early should a problem arise. I was told, well, we all have to die of something. Thanks doc. I was really sick last summer and because of my symptoms my mom called our good friend who was a GI doctor. The GI doctor heard my symptoms and said it was very likely E. coli. I was really freaking sick in an adult diaper so we went to the ER as per his instructions. The doctor was very old. I told him my symptoms and what our friend told us to explain why we came in. He started saying you couldn't have that because only the really old and the really young get that. I was like, oh. They gave me tons of fluids and sent me home. Fine whatever. Turns out 5 other girls came down with the same symptoms in my sorority and one was diagnosed with it. Not a doctor but a therapist told me to self-harm instead of drinking because then I would only be harming the outside of my body. Sounds like maybe she harmed the inside of her body right before giving you that crappy advice. I know you've torn a ligament in your leg. It's okay. You don't need crutches. Just walk home. You'll be fine. If you want you can buy a knee sleeve from the drugstore. It won't help but your coach will go easier on you. Running isn't a good form of exercise. It jolts your heart and you'll die. I had an alcoholic patient tell a group yesterday, my old doctor told me not to take an abuse for my alcoholism because it's bad for my liver. Visit the Amazon rainforest, then you'll know what life is really about. Geez, I was just coming because my shoulder hurts, not to be weirdly lectured for 45 freaking minutes. Visit the Amazon rainforest, then you'll know what life is really about. My ear nose throat guy was cleaning the inside of my ears with his mini water cannon and told me to let him know if anything bothers me. I said the situation in Syria bothers me. He gave me a 20-minute lecture on Middle Eastern politics in response to what was supposed to be a stupid joke. For my acne, rub 99% alcohol all over your face morning and night. Jesus Christ God no. This kills the face. Little bit late to this but here goes. I had a bump on the side of my head that would bleed whenever I scratched it. It kept getting bigger and more sensitive. I went to my campus doctor. I get it checked out because I was leaving for Peru in a week to go on vacation. The doctor told me the bump was nothing and would go away. Fast forward to me in Peru. We are out in the desert, hours away from Lima, where we were staying, when the bump starts bleeding after I hit it. It doesn't stop as we drive 1.5 hours to the hospital in Lima. Once there, the doctor informed me it was actually a tumor, and I had emergency surgery to remove it. Note, no one at the hospital spoke English, and I do not speak Spanish. We captured the whole operation on GoPro if anyone's interested. Haha. TL. DR. Canadian medical care was crap. Had to go to third world doctor to get treated. I'm from Canada and this doesn't surprise me in the least. If you had faith maybe you'd be better off. I was suffering from seasonal allergies and just needed some pills. Thanks, doc. As I was getting blood drawn for some tests, You would have no problem doing H with these veins. Not really advice, but it certainly made me think of some more life options. I had a doctor tell me that when I was having a thyroid test. Good drug veins. Not that I'm endorsing anything. My daughter's doctor told me at her 1-year checkup that she was ADHD because she didn't want to sit still in the exam room for 15 minutes. We got a different doctor after that. When I was 14, my therapist told me that I would end up dying from AIDS because I like guys. I didn't go back to see her after that. Went to a new psychiatrist after switching jobs to get my SSRI meds updated and or possible try something new. I should have known what I was going to get when her specialties mentioned addiction specialist. She was the only available doc, otherwise I would have picked another. While doing our getting to know you chat, she asked if I drank. I do enjoy a beer now and then, and I do drink to get drunk maybe once a month if I go to a club bar party, but it is nowhere near an issue for me. As soon as I mentioned my casual drinking, the conversation switched completely to getting me into rehab, meetings, and addressing my drinking problem. We didn't even get to talking about the anxiety issues that brought me in there. See, my brother is a non-functioning alcoholic and I know firsthand what problem drinking looks like, and that's not me even by a long shot. I politely told her that was not my issue, left her office and promptly found a new psych who actually helped me find the right meds for my anxiety. It's the old saying, if you're a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. Not me, but my wife. One day in the middle of the night, my wife wakes me and says she's having really bad pain in her stomach and that she needs to go to the hospital. We go. About by the time we get there, things start dying down. The doctor tells her, with minimal examination, just her describing her symptoms, that she has acid reflux. The same symptoms keep happening over and over, and she talks to different doctors and is put on antacids and things like that, but it wasn't happening. The doctors just said that having intense, overwhelming pain, where she had trouble walking standing, in your stomach a few times a month that was relieved by vomiting was apparently how acid reflux worked. She was told, pretty much insisted, to stop drinking alcohol, and asked if she was sure she wasn't pregnant. Well, she literally never drinks, and wasn't pregnant. I mean, neither of us had it, but I was growing pretty suspicious that it wasn't it, but her doctors were adamant and wouldn't do any more checking. Several months later, where its frequency was increasing from once or twice a month to once or twice a week, she tells me we need to go to the hospital again. So we do. While they're checking her in, one of the doctors tells me they'll run a few tests, but they're pretty sure it's acid reflux. I'm pretty adamant to him that this is not the case. I'm not sure if my seriousness got them to do more tests, but they eventually realize that, surprise, it's not acid reflux. Instead, it's gallstones that are getting stuck in the duct between her gallbladder and her pancreas, causing her pancreas to swell, which is potentially fatal. Fortunately, at this point, they actually do something. But Jesus, this was infuriating to go through. Watching her experience it, it was clear that this was pretty serious, but as soon as doctors heard acid reflux, they just immediately tuned her out and said no alcohol, stop consuming any fat in your foods, and that crippling stabbing pains would just go away. I remember, even she has surgery to get her gallbladder removed. I asked if the doctors thought it would stop the symptoms that caused her to come to the hospital in the first place, and they said no. They did. I went to see a doctor about weird swelling in my face. He looks at it, tells me it's a dental issue, and refers me to a dentist. I go to my own dentist, who's a manic little Korean man who was actually experiencing a blackout at the time of my visit. He somehow manages to get me an X-ray through the use of generators, hand cranks, frantic yelling and voodoo sacrifice. My teeth are fine, but there's a horrible mass in the fatty tissue of my cheek. Visions of cancer dancing in my head. I go back to the doctor, relay my information, and wait for the sweet release of a needle in my cheek. The doctor asks if I saw the guy he referred me to, and when I answer in the negative, loudly decries the ineptitude of this wonderful dental fairy he's never met. He still thinks it's a dental issue, and won't draw from my cheek until I see his guy. I thank him, leave, and begin shopping for a second opinion. Over the intervening period, my cheek grows from worrying and slightly noticeable to plague victim. The mass is now pressing into my mouth and sinus. I say frick it and go to the ear. Fluid is drawn, and oh, look, I have cellulitis of the goddamn face. Antibiotics are given, and I sit in the dark until I am capable of facing the world without wearing a leper mask. Haven't seen that doctor since. Have an appointment with the dental fairy in 2 weeks. 3. Oh, electrical blackout. Your colorful description of your dentist made me worry he was on a substance of some sort and had blacked out. Doctor to the mother of my wife when my wife was 4. Your daughter has flu. No, I'm not referring her to the hospital. Go away and stop bothering me. Plot twist. It was leukemia. Leukemia symptoms can be flu-like. You don't test everyone for leukemia or even blood tests that have flu-like symptoms. After I had my son, I went to my GP and broke down in tears saying that I was having flashbacks from his birth and panic attacks, that I wasn't coping and I was thinking about suicide. Her response? You should feel lucky that you have a healthy baby. Some women don't. You'll get over it. Well, I didn't, and it took me another year to finally get help. I still suffer with depression and anxiety now, nearly 8 years on, although I am doing much better these days. It took me a lot to go and ask for help and she just confirmed in my head that I was a crappy person. Saying that you can't have problems because people have it worse is like saying that you can't have successes because people have it better. Since you're lesbian, this is the only pap smear you will ever need. My former doctor to me, at age 26, have since had a lesbian friend die of cervical cancer, and some others with abnormal paps. Although it is more rare in lesbians than straight women, we can still get things wrong with our privates. It's not just the penii who spread HPV. It isn't just HPV that causes cancer. What a fuckword of a doctor. Don't worry, you're too young for cancer. Brain tumor. Butthole. Not me, but a doctor told my brother that he should drink more fruit juice and eat yogurt to help reduce his blood sugar. A psychologist told him he should find a horse to ride and stop playing video games. Fruit juice, reduce sugar, hum. I was told by one doctor that the depression I was suffering from at the time was in actuality a spiritual crisis, and my body's way of telling me I missed having God in my life. I nearly burst out laughing in his face. He also chastised my girlfriend at the time for being amoral because we were sexually active. A real class individual, that fellow. Needless to say, I never saw that particular doctor again. I nearly burst out laughing in his face. He was trying to cure your depression. We aren't going to refill your meds because we don't want to see you anymore. But you were the ones that made me go on this crappy, dangerous drug regimen. That doesn't matter, we are discharging you, and so we will not be filling your meds. Enter 6 days of withdrawal from tramadol. Exact same thing happened to me, only with Xanax they put me on. New Year's Eve 2013 I quit smoking, and Xanax. Cold turkey. I think the Xanax withdrawals helped with the nicotine withdrawals. Went to urgent care because of pain in my right leg. Doctor gave me Vicodin and antibiotics and sent me home. That's the last thing I remember before waking up over a week later as a below the knee amputee. I don't even know what to say. I'm so sorry. Redditors age 35 plus. What's the best piece of life advice you can give to someone in their 20s? If you're a good person and you know it, don't worry about how people judge you. The good ones will find you eventually, and the confidence you have in the meantime will serve you well. Start saving money yesterday for retirement. That said, don't wait for retirement to do all the cool things you want to do before you die. Crap happens. Absolutely. Save something, however small, every payday and don't touch it. With that done, as you say, live for today knowing that tomorrow most likely will come, but don't wait to live. The Japanese have a saying, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, the second best time is now. So, a lot of your future will be shaped by what you do now. It's better to be at the bottom of a career you are interested in than halfway up the ladder and earning more in one you don't. If you find yourself just scratching out a living, at least be the best hand in the pen, and never get drunker than the boss. And if you're good at something, never do it for free. Become an expert in something. Start a financial plan, or at least put away some savings each month. You never know when you'll go through a period of unemployment or get hit by a big bill for something. Look after your teeth. Give up smoking if you smoke. Keep fit. All you have to do is a 5K run once or twice a week and it makes a difference. And never lie to your doctor. For fewer than 5 floors, take the stairs. Push-ups and sit-ups are all you'll ever need to build muscle. Buy things that last, both in terms of quality and style. There's no point getting a suit that's in style now because it will be out of style in a year. Get a dark blue suit, 3 buttons, and if you can't afford to get it tailor-made, at least go to a tailor and get him to take it in and make adjustments. That suit will last you for at least a decade. And if I can't see your shirt cuff, your jacket doesn't fit, get some decent work shoes. More times than not, you will be judged by your shoes. And never eat lunch at your desk. Never leave a job without securing your next employment. But when it's time to go, don't hesitate. Learn to cook 3 things really well. Otherwise, remember that if you aren't hungry enough to eat an apple, you aren't hungry. Never buy a car at night. And always return a borrowed car with a full tank of gas. And never ask about another person's grades, salary, or what they paid for a car. Master a second language, preferably math. Never straighten another man's tie. Never turn down a breath mint. Never cancel dinner plans by text message. Pay attention. You only get one chance to notice her new haircut. In the long run, loyalty trumps ambition every time. Keep the heck off my lawn. Wear your sunscreen. Or more broadly, take care of you, your skin, your teeth, your joints, your sexual health, etc. Invest in yourself for the long haul. Make it your mission to become financially free ASAP, not just working for yourself and not adhering to a schedule, or fearing termination, but creating passive income so that you have the time to pursue whatever passion you have to the fullest. You don't deserve to be treated like crap by the people who are supposed to love you, and it's okay to walk away from a toxic situation that is affecting your own quality of life. Learned this one the hard way. Sometimes walking away is the best thing for your health, even if the person is family. Think about children carefully. Children with special needs can happen to anyone, and parenting is forever. Try not to chase happiness. As lame as it may seem, happiness isn't about having what you want, but wanting what you have. Be grateful for what you have. Skip tobacco completely. Invest a small amount weekly or monthly without fail. You have many investment opportunities with little or no roadblocks than ever before. Never stop learning. Make friends and network as much as possible, but cut your losses on toxic people. Learn to play an instrument. Take care of your body and teeth. Too many pieces to pick just one. Start a retirement plan and stick with it. I didn't do that until later in life, and even though I have a pension plan at work that will pay well every month, that's only good as long as they are still in business. If they close the doors, no more pension plan and I'll basically have to live on social security. Everyone is winging it. Don't compare yourself with others. You only see their life from the outside. No matter how well it looks like other people are doing, we're all just winging it. You'll never figure out what you want to be when you're older, so just pick something and get good at it. Things will mostly work out okay. Don't live by other people's judgments but your own. You are the only person who will ever truly have to live with you, so don't compromise the important things. Take the trip. From my dad, what other people think of you is none of your business. Excluding toxic people, cherish and spend time with your parents and older family members. Someday all you'll have left of them is photos and memories. Make them good. If you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. Take care of your teeth. Nobody knows what they're doing. We're all winging it. Marry someone kind. Also, credit cards utilize something called a credit utilization score, meaning they look at the overall amount of credit you have and the percentage of it you actually use. A great credit utilization score is about 10%, so if you have a $1,000 credit limit, they only want you to use $100 before you pay it back. It is a huge factor in determining your credit score. So if you're maxing out your credit cards every month and pay them back but your credit is still in the garbage, that's why. Tip: ask your credit cards to raise your limits but don't actually spend more than you are now. This will decrease your credit utilization percentage and get you a much better score. Just pay them off entirely every month and your credit will be fine. I've never carried any balance and have 800 plus credit score. Don't go to college unless you are going for law, medicine, teaching, engineering, etc. something lucrative and that your loans can be written off, you can pay them off in under 5 years. I am studying math and your comment scares me. Pay extra money for quality items that separate you from the ground like shoes, mattresses, including sheets, pillows, blankets, tires, couches, lounge chairs, etc. Also, protect your hearing because you can't ever get it back. Don't sweat that you don't have it all, or even some of it, figured out. Your 20s is the very beginning of your adult life. It's the training wheel stage. You are supposed to not know your work, money, career, friends, love, family. You have decades ahead of you to figure that out. You can't expect to know it right out of the gate. Figuring out how to do all that adult stuff is the same as reaching your milestones as a child. Everyone does it on their own timeline and does things in a different order. Some kids talk early and walk late. It's the same thing. But it's easy to see your peers around you who are reaching the early milestones and think they have it all together. But they don't. Each in their own time. Plus, there is a lot of faking it till you make it around. People talk a big game, but don't really know it all. And that's fine. 2. Don't get put off by all this talk that nobody ever figures anything out and being an adult is just a big mess of misery and not knowing what's going on. You will get better at the skills you need. The problems and responsibilities will get bigger, but you will have far better tools and capabilities. Competency at anything takes time. Be patient. Oddly, many people really romanticize the time they didn't know what they were doing with their life because they miss the time when they felt so much was possible. Try to enjoy that sense of possibilities, which only happens before you make those big decisions you are so anxious to be able to make. If you don't know how to cook, start learning. Cooking will save you money and keep you eating healthier. Don't be afraid to take risk. Thinking of moving to another state for better opportunities? Do it. Start being social in person. The pandemic has a lot of us working from home. Get out of the house and experience life. Things are going to happen you don't expect and will seem disastrous at that point in time. You will be okay. It won't feel like it at the time, but you'll eventually look back on it with pride that you got through it. You don't need 100 friends. Quality over quantity here. Lastly, learn to love yourself. The person you are at 18 won't be the same person you are at 25, and that person will be different at 30. Not everyone is going to like you. The petty high school crap carries over into adulthood for some. See it for what it is and move on. Start a Roth IRA account ASAP, even if you have to make payments into it to get to the minimum balance. Having money grow tax-free is a game changer. Take care of yourself. Watch what you put in your mouth, what comes out, what you let in your thoughts, and the people you hang around with. Don't burn bridges. I know being anti-work is the new trendy thing, but the problem is you never know if person conducting the interview for your dream job is talking with your former acquaintances. I would suggest that if you wanna quit your job, write a resignation letter, give a copy to your boss and another one to HR, and calmly explain why are you leaving. It's not mandatory to stay for 2 weeks after you resign, but is customary. If you are leaving because you can't work with your immediate supervisor, let HR or any other higher up know the reason why are you leaving, and that you appreciate the time you work with them even if it's not true, and that you wish things have ended differently. Usually when new employers need references, they call HR, not your supervisor. Cars are a waste of money. Buy a practical, reliable, cheap car and do not waste money on tricking it out. You are your own boss and you decide what makes you happy. Don't waste any time trying to fit into someone else's idea of you. Be yourself. When you don't know what to do with your life, pick a direction and go. Any direction is better than floating around or treading water. Commit yourself to a lifetime of learning, and no matter what you do, it will have value for the rest of your life. If it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Listen to that little voice. If you have a really tight group of friends, keep them close. Don't let petty arguments tear you guys apart. Don't feel embarrassed to them how you feel. As you get older, you start to appreciate the bond you have with everyone. Save 10% of every paycheck. Enroll in your company's 401k and max out their contribution. It is kinda crazy how fast money saves up and how fast it spends when you need it. Get healthy and find a hobby. Don't trust old farts, or any people for that matter. Listen to what they have to say, and if it sounds good, somehow verify that they are actually truthful. Only after that pursue whatever their advice was. There's a lot of crappy people out there. If you come from a good middle class home where you can trust people without questions, you're not prepared for the sheer quantity of shitheads in the world. Most everyone is out to get you, in one way or another. 30 still isn't too old to leave your SO. Don't let some biological imperative or bull's social construct of a timeline keep you in a relationship that's toxic. Don't pretend that life ends at 30 or some dumb crap. My 30s were much more fun than my 20s, and my 40s are poised to dethrone them both. You don't really feel much different mentally as you age. Most of us feel perpetually 22 for the rest of our lives. When you move into a rental, document everything. Write absolutely everything down on the entry report and photograph everything in detail. Real estate agents work for the landlord, and when you leave will try their utmost to claim as much of your bond to repair things so the landlords won't have to spend money. Never trust anyone who works in real estate. Find the true veterans, the crusty ones that have been doing it forever, and see how they do it. Don't waste your time dancing for management. They don't usually actually know what is going on. I call it the rule of 25 inches. If you're 18-24 years old and don't have any clue what you wanna do with yourself or where your life is headed, that's actually more normal than not. Half the people I know who chose a career at that age seem to regret it, even the successful ones. But if you're 25-26 years old and are still just aimlessly drifting through life, there should be some yellow flags being thrown up. I'm not saying at midnight on the last day of being 24 you need to make a plan, but you should start considering what it is you want to do. Even if it's just, well, this is something I won't hate but pays a lot better than what I make now, then do that. Whether it's a degree, a trade or a business, whatever, just do something. Cause I will tell you this from experience. It freaking sucks being 30+ years old and barely making more than when you first started working. I think my very first real job I made $8 an hour, and when I was 31 I was in a shop making $12 an hour. Adjusted for inflation I made about $1 more an hour in 13 years. That crap was depressing. If you're late teens, early 20s and haven't figured it out, that's kinda normal. If you're late 20s and still haven't figured out, get your crap together. Slow down. Enjoy this stage of life. Don't be in a rush for the next stage. Do the things. Take care of yourself. Have sex only with protection. Save some money for small emergencies at least. Tire flats, etc. People have talked about saving money for years, but for some reason most of us just burn everything in our 20s when we get it. Budgeting really is pretty darn important. Don't be afraid to be bad at something. It is the necessary precursor to being good and cannot be delayed but only postponed. And the conditions are always impossible anyway. So don't spend time and effort getting good at something you don't want to do. There is never a right time for things. Take that vacation. Go on the trip. Buy the thing. So long as it's financially feasible. It's really easy to think he'll do it next year or he'll do it in a few years. But there is never a good time. Things are always busy. I've heard a lot of regrets from people who didn't live life and always put it off. I've lost friends early, and there is never a right or good time. Make time. Start investing. Boring index funds. Now you can make the most of your years compounding. Doesn't have to be much if you start young. I'm 13, but let me give you some advice my mom and dad told me: get more income streams than just your job, such as stocks or other things like that. Then if you get fired or the stock market crashes, you still have income. If you're in a bad mood or an emo phase or something, smile when taking family pictures, and make sure to take family pictures. You'll regret not having a good photo of you and your grandparents' parents. Enjoy yourself, but also take care of yourself. Mentally and physically. I personally don't regret partying. I had some great times, but there is kinda a time and place for all that. If you're not already really sure about what you want to do, then try out stuff. Try out different jobs. Find your passion. You'll be doing it for a long time. But it's also never too late to change your mind. Save money. Really. Save as much as you possibly can. Try not to touch it. There will come a point where you'll need it. then you'll be thankful, even if it means not going out for drinks than one weekend or not getting those really fancy shoes. Make friends. Stay in touch with them. It gets a lot harder to meet people, at least in my experience. If high school sucked and you coasted through on bad grades but you regret that now, try again. You still have loads of time to improve your grades and get into college, university, etc. Start a private pension and get investing. Hopefully, you'll love your job, but if you're like most normal people, you'll basically just tolerate it at best. Investing will let you retire early. Don't be penny smart and pound foolish. Imagine someone refusing to spend money on car maintenance because they're saving money only to spend 5x that much when their car breaks down for lack of maintenance. I always felt that went along well with an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The true value in the things you buy isn't in the cost, it's in their effectiveness and how long they last. My grandparents never understood this. Stay in shape. Your health is everything. Save and plan for the future. Cultivate and make an effort for a few lasting friendships. Travel and go on adventures. Take care of your smile. Be present when you are with those you love. Meditate. Drink water. Always invest in yourself. Stay flexible. Strive to stay debt free. Journal. Be prepared to change careers. Get outside as much as you can. Forgive not because they deserve forgiveness but because you deserve peace. Others will always remember how you make them feel. Hoard time, not stuff. Live within your means. Be kind to people working in customer service, the service industry. Vote. Wear shoes with good support. You can't choose your family but you can choose your teachers. Call your parents. Use all your vacation time and sick days. Always be open to learning. Make time for things you enjoy. Get hobbies. Stop comparing yourself to others. Always say thank you. Wear sunscreen. Moisturize. Prioritize work-life balance. It's okay to fail. Try and learn from it. Don't take advice from anyone you wouldn't trade places with. Don't be a shat. Forgive yourself. Drink water. Wear sunscreen. Did I mention drinking water? Lift with your knees, not your back. If you're getting blackout drunk, stop drinking. If you're getting very drunk, cut the heck down. And if you can't, so drinking. Substance abuse problems are a lot easier to tackle if you do it early and drink water. Do not put off for tomorrow what could be done today in your career, life and business. Favor activity above all and have a strong bias towards action. I have many times seen that the more you delay something, the harder it gets later. If you have a project you are working on at work or in your business, attempt to beat the deadlines. If you delay, by coincidence, you will find many barriers to achieving it. These can be unrelated, such as you or others getting sick, a client getting an issue that forces them to postpone a meeting, etc. However, if you do things earlier, you are more likely to succeed. This doesn't include abusive, toxic family. For those who have family, appreciate the people who love you, even if they are full of BS sometimes. The hardest lesson when you get older is that parents and grandparents won't be around forever. You miss them every day when they're gone. They live too long, the payday just isn't worth it. They knew that. Would have treated you better if they didn't. Couple of things. 1. Post-secondary education is important if you don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. It doesn't matter if you go into a trade school, college, university, or some other form post-secondary education. Your older self will appreciate it. 2. Save money. You don't need that fancy piece of clothing, accessory, or the news phone. If you take care of the things you own, they will last. 3. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health. Work on both and you will enjoy your future. 4. Be good to those who are good to you. If they use you or make you feel used, unappreciated for your efforts, walk away and don't feel bad about it. This goes for friends, family, work, etc. 5. Make sure to have some fun. None of us are getting out of here alive. I'm 33, but if your new SOS friends or relatives tell you to break up with them, listen. They know how their friend is and are trying to stop you from making a huge mistake. Think of how you would advise a person dating the toxic person in your group, and see that in them in that moment. Protect your heart and know that if you're young, you're not mature. They're immature. They're not down on their luck. That's just how they are. and probably the reason they're after you and single. If they cheat with you, they will cheat on you. And how they talk about their ex is how they will eventually talk about you. Google, love bombing, and future faking. Relationships ruin lives, so please take care of yourself. Compound interest. Understand it. The difference between someone having $1 million and 100,000 could be that the other person started investing 10 years earlier. At 7% return on investment, the sum doubles every 10 years. If you made 10% return each year, it makes a huge difference in the long run. See Rule 72. Make money work for you. Even a small saving makes a difference on a long timeline. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.